We are here with Jack Armstrong, the Toronto Raptors / TNT TV analyst. Jack, first of all, thank you so much for being here with me. I couldn't have asked for a better guy to interview.
Well, Ryan, my pleasure, and I'm glad to be able to join you and go Bonnies.
Go Bonnies, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. All right. You mind just telling me a bit about yourself, your path, where you're at now?
Well, I'm starting my 28th year. Training camp starts this week in Calgary, so I'm starting my 28th season with the Raptors. Before that, I was a college basketball coach for 14 years, 4 years as an assistant at Fordham in New York, and then 10 years at Niagara University, and 9 of those years of the 10 were as the head coach. Before I was at Fordham, I was a high school coach in New York for 2 years. So it's been a long career in basketball, and I always say I can't thank that orange ball enough. It's given me so many wonderful opportunities, and I've had an opportunity to meet so many really cool people along the way. So I'm blessed, and I'm really excited about being able to start my 28th season with the Raptors this week,
Incredible.
sitting and watching practices, and we have a preseason game next week, and off we go.
Yeah, off you go. Let's start from the top. You were a coach for so long, and then you ended up becoming a broadcaster. Like, how did that happen?
Well, I got fired basically.
Okay,
I
sorry,
didn't win
sorry.
enough. That's all right. I didn't win enough games as a head coach at Niagara, so you lose your job, and now you say, "What do you want to do next?" And it's a little different now. 28 years later, they're doing is hiring ex players.
Mhm.
But back when I left coaching, the trend was they wanted ex coaches, ex executives, more so than players on the air. So it was, I was very fortunate. I got a lot of opportunities calling college basketball on television for a number of different networks. And at the same time, the Raptors had an opening for their radio analyst, and that would have been 98, 99. And so here I am. I got a job. I had a year left on my contract at Niagara. I said, you know what? I have a little bit of cushion. I'm going to try something different for a year, and then uh, probably get back into coaching after that. But here I am 28 years later, and I've had a great time. And so it's been really, really fun. So, um, uh, and so, I've just been really been blessed with, the opportunity to see a lot of incredible players, meet a lot of different cool people. The Raptors obviously won a title in 2019,
Right,
had
right.
a great series of playoff runs prior to that. It's been a little tough the last few years, but overall, it's been a really fun experience. So I'm doing something. I've had two different careers in basketball. So as I said earlier, Ryan, I can't thank that orange ball enough.
Right, absolutely. Did you prefer one or the other, coaching or broadcasting?
Well, I grew up playing and then going to coaching, and I always wanted to be a coach, and
Mhm.
so everything I did was geared towards that. So kind of I fell into broadcasting. It's a funny story. I have my bachelor's in history from Fordham, so I could tell you when the War of 1812 was,
Right.
and I have my master's in communications from Fordham as well. And I never in a million years thought I'd ever use it. Um,
Right.
the only reason I got my master's in that was because that kind of fit our practice schedule at the time, and all I cared about was basketball and coaching.
Right.
So
Okay.
now
Yeah.
here I am. People go, "Wow, you have a master's degree from Fordham in communications." Vin Scully, Mike Breen, Michael Kay, yada yada yada. A
Yeah.
lot of big names from Fordham in the broadcasting business. So they went it. They got in it because they were trying to train to be a broadcaster. I kind of fell
Right.
into it, so it's a little bit different. But I've had a ton of fun doing this, and I get in my car when the game ends, and it ain't my problem.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a little different, but no, it's been I've had two wonderful careers and experiences, and met again so many great people, and the life lessons for me personally have been incredibly rewarding,
Mhm.
and it's helped me grow so much as a person.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It really is. You almost didn't mind. It's like a new door opens type of thing, right?
Well, I didn't know it at the time. I was obviously devastated. I mean,
Right.
when you fail and you get fired, you're that's all over the Buffalo News or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's a personal setback, a professional setback, and it's not only tough on you, but it's tough on you and your family. I was married with three little boys, and
Right.
you don't know what you're going to do next, and we see it all the time in Major League Baseball, NHL, and NFL, NBA, college sports, whatever. It's a tough life,
Yeah.
and these people give their heart and soul to their job, and not everyone can win. And a lot of times, you get lucky, and other times you don't. Um, and a lot of times you make your own luck. But nonetheless, it all worked out, and
Right.
you don't know it at the time, but you kind of look at that front windshield, and you don't focus too much on the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
So basically, what I did was, when you lose a job, your full time job is to get another one,
Right.
and your
Yeah.
full time job is. A guy said, Ryan said something really cool to me that has always stuck with me. Jim O'Brien used to be a head coach in the NBA with the Celtics, the Sixers, the Pacers, former college coach, and I coached against Jim when he was in college. So I called him when he got fired as a college head coach at Dayton, and then he called me when I got let go at Niagara. But he said something really interesting to me. He says, Jack, you have a choice. You could either be bitter or you can be better. Your move. So I chose to be better, and I chose to embrace a new career, and I chose to try to be really good at this, and not knowing if I'd even do it for more than 1 year. I thought I'd, again, as I mentioned earlier, go back to it.
Right.
So I would say anytime you have a setback in life, I think we're all conditioned in athletics that when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Hmm.
And I think that's when I speak to teams and young athletes, I always say to them, you have a hidden gift and you don't even know it exists. And that is not only success, but failure. And then when you fail, your mechanism immediately is to get back up and fight and work and grind and try to succeed the next play, the next game, the next experience. So to me, I think again, I really benefited from the whole experience, my whole life of being around sports.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's like I'm in a pregame speech with you in the huddle there. But was there a moment in broadcasting when you were like, man, like I'm so glad I went into this. I know that this is what I want to do now.
Well, it's cool, Ryan. My first year, we had Vince Carter, and he was the rookie of the
It's
year.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good, And Michael Jordan had retired, and Michael actually came back and was playing for the Wizards uh, a few years into when I started with the Raptors. But Vince played at Carolina, and everyone thought he was the heir apparent to Vince to Michael Jordan, and Vince was absolutely sensational, spectacular. We also had Tracy McGrady as a
Mhm.
young player, and obviously both Tracy and Vince are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Both terrific guys, and I always enjoyed my company with them. Now they're actually uh, minority owners of the
Exactly.
Buffalo
Yeah, I was
Bills,
gonna
which is
say.
cool. So last time I saw Vince, I was on his case about the Bills and this and that and the other thing, and so yeah, it was really cool right away, like to get to see this magnificent talent from Carolina and Vince Carter. So I got in on the ground floor. The Raptors were only 3 years into their existence, and they were really struggling. And suddenly, now we have this phenom, and I'm riding the wave. So it was really really just good fortune.
Couldn't have asked for better, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of touched on it a bit, but how has the NBA kind of changed since you started to now? I'm sure
Wow.
there's a lot of ways, but
I think the European influence has changed it a lot. More three-point shooting, spacing, pace of play, emphasis on skill, uh, not as much back to the basket, pivot, post play,
Mhm.
physicality, a lot less than it used to be. But I think the league is loosening the whistle a little bit. We saw that in the playoffs this year, and even this regular season, particularly as the season went on. So, but I would say it's definitely more perimeter oriented. Um, So that would be to me the biggest change. But I tell you
Right.
what, the players today are super skilled, super trained, prepared, incredibly professional. There's so much money at stake.
Yeah.
I'm around these guys a lot, and I'm overwhelmingly impressed by their dedication and their professionalism.
Yeah. And then now I got to ask the kind of generic question, but what has been the greatest moment of your broadcasting career so far? Maybe
Well,
that 2019.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, that was an incredible run, and obviously winning. I got the opportunity to call the game, Game 6 in Golden State,
Right.
when the Raptors won the title, and that was like literally calling a World Cup final or a gold medal
Yeah.
game in a sport. It's the largest television audience ever in Canadian history, and one of the
Wow.
highest rated shows ever. So to me, to call a game on national television in Canada, um, of such significance, that was an incredible experience. So winning the title definitely would be um, the highlight. But nonetheless, I think the other highlight is the people who
Okay.
I've met along the way, like the players, the coaches, the uh, executives, and most importantly, the fans, and how passionate they are, and how wonderful they've been and embraced me as kind of an adopted Canadian, and
Yeah.
um, calling games. And so it's been a great happy marriage and a great really cool experience. So and again, I think if I left coaching now in 2025 as the head coach at Niagara and tried getting a job that I got in 1998, I'd probably not get it
A
because the
lot
trend is
tougher.
it's a lot tougher because of the competition. Everyone wants to do it. You have a lot more ex-players that want to do it, and the competition is fierce. Whereas
Hmm.
when I did it, the Raptors were kind of a startup company, and there was really no basketball, not a lot of basketball tradition in Canada at that level. So the fact that here I am, I'm a Division One head coach at a border school where people in the Toronto area are familiar with St. Bonaventure and Niagara and Canisius. So you had a little name recognition, and it had credibility.
Right.
So then I got in and I grew with the company and grew with the team. And so it's been it's I couldn't I couldn't I'm as lucky as you can be.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Going along with that, kind of piggybacking off it almost, what is the greatest player or coach that you've interviewed so far?
Wow. Well, I've had the opportunity pretty much to meet everybody. I mean, I've chatted with Michael Jordan and
Right.
LeBron James, met Kevin Durant, and all these guys, and I've had been out for drinks with Phil Jackson. I mean, I've chatted with Steve Kerr and all these other coaches,
That's
and
great.
so you meet them all along the way because that's what you do for a living.
Right.
And Greg Popovich, and you name it, Lenny Wilkins, our coach back in the 1999 or 2000, whatever. I mean, Lenny's in the Hall of Fame as both a player and a coach, one of the all-time greats. I mean, Jerry Sloan with the Utah Jazz. I mean, so many. So just you're in it, you're around it, you're in the fraternity. The fact that I'm an ex-coach, I think with coaches, they understand that I'm going to be fair and treat them fairly and respectfully. And just you become a familiar face along the way. And it's interesting. They all watch the games, so
Hmm.
they're scouting us, and now they're getting our broadcast, so they're
Right.
hearing me talk on the air. And so the coolest compliment is when an opposing coach comes over and says, a lot of these guys, I turn down the volume on the broadcast when I watch. When I know you're doing a game, I keep the volume on.
That's
So
awesome.
that's a really cool compliment that I've been blessed to get from a number of coaches in the NBA that recognize that I do my homework, and uh, I know what I'm watching, I know what I'm seeing, and I know what I'm saying.
Kind of going off that homework bit, is there a good routine or a ritual or a habit that you got into that maybe you'd want to share with someone who's trying to get into your field?
I think you got to live it. It's your life. Basketball is my life.
Right.
I have a sign. I'm in my office at home here, but there's a sign up here somewhere that's right over here. This marriage is interrupted during basketball season.
Yep. Yep.
It's a joke, but and uh, you got to live it every day.
Right.
So every morning I get up, and thankfully working for the Raptors, they send me every single solitary article there is written about the Raptors. They
Mhm.
send me an email and it's all in one email. But the other 29 teams, I don't get that. So I go on all the different sites and read about trends in the league, stories in the league, what's going on with different teams. Um, I talk to coaches, I talk to executives and officials and uh, other broadcasters and media and players during the course of the season. And it's your life. Scouts, advanced
Mhm.
scouts. So you're constantly trying to pick people's brains, and I love doing it because it's hoops. It's. I have a love affair with it. So your best intel a lot of times is, we're playing in Atlanta, and now 4 days later, I have the game against the Bulls.
Right.
So now there's four advanced scouts there, and I say, "Hey, do you guys see the Bulls?" "Yeah, I saw them the other night." "Hey, give me a little intel." And then they'll ask
Yeah.
me about our team. I'm not giving up any state secrets in terms of play calls or anything like that, but
Right.
just more generalities. But that helps me, and I think I have NBA League Pass, so I can watch every team in the league. So if we're playing the Pistons, I can roll back and watch their last 2 or 3 games. Um, so it's a never-ending thing. And not only that, but college basketball. I still do the NCAA tournament. I do the 10 days. I step away from the Raptors for 10 days, and I do the 10 days of the NCAA tournament for TSN TV on national TV in
Wow.
Canada. So I've been doing that for almost my entire time working with the Raptors. So I really have to stay on top of the college game as well. So which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it too. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I think we got a good team this year, but
You
uh
do, and you got a great coach, by the way, Mark Schmidt, who I
absolutely,
think
yeah.
who I think pound for pound is as good a coach in college basketball, considering the challenges of recruiting and only in New York, and you're in a very difficult league in the Atlantic 10. And year in, year out, the job he's done there is nothing short of remarkable. And now you add Woj as well, who will be
Yeah.
a big asset. So you got great people there. Both of them are good friends, and I respect the hell out of both of them.
Mhm.
They're great basketball people. So and the fan base of St. Bonaventure is second to none. It's a phenomenal place. Even though I used to get my ass kicked as the coach at Niagara against St. Bonaventure, I always had a deep love and admiration for everybody that's a Bonnie's fan. It's a brotherhood. It's a family, and people really are great fans and incredibly loyal to the Bonnies.
Well, if you don't mind, maybe let's talk a bit more about that coaching career at Niagara. Obviously, Bonaventure, Niagara, Canisius, the little three, right? That rivalry is huge. Could you maybe just talk a bit about that and the Riley Center and St. Bonaventure?
Yeah, no, I can vividly remember the bus rides down to Olean, and then a few times victorious on the way back, which were always joyful rides, and the many other times, grinding your way back to Niagara in a snowstorm from Olean,
Yep.
and you got your head kicked in. Uh, but the fans were always amazing. It's a little different now. The students used to sit right behind the opposing team bench, and they used to heckle
Yeah.
me like crazy.
They
And
put us on the other side now. So,
yeah, no,
yeah.
but I used to banter with them and have a lot of laughs with them, and it was never vicious. It was always more playful
Right.
sarcasm, and but the fans are incredible, and the environment at the Riley Center is terrific. Um, and yeah, and playing, double headers in Buffalo when I first started at the Ord, and now at the arena. I forget, I can't even remember. The arena's had so many different names over the years. Um, but it's a great tradition. And people talk about the Calvin Murphys and the Bob Laniers, and the incredible players and Larry Weese and Frank Layden and
Hmm.
Taps Gallagher and all the different great coaches and Bob McKinnon and all the great ones. But to me, I just think there's uh, in spite of the fact that you're uh, competing, there's also a mutual respect that you have for each other. And I even saw it, Greg Paulus is a good friend, and I was over to speak to his team a few weeks ago. And I see the respect that Greg and Mark and uh, Jimmy Christian and the coaches, in the little three and the big four have for each other. And yeah, you're trying to win the night you're there, but you also respect that these jobs are tough and it's tough to win. It's very easy to lose.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to win. So like I'm at the Bills Saints game yesterday, and I don't follow all this nonsense with point spreads and yada yada yada. I just look and say the Saints got their heads kicked in the week before at Seattle, and these guys are professional athletes, and you're 3-0 and they're 0-3. You're going to get their best shot,
Right.
and you better play well, because if you don't, you're going to lose. And it's really, really hard to win. It's very easy to lose. And so even though the people aren't thrilled with how the Bills played, they're 4-0,
Right.
and they found a way to win. And that's what good teams do. That's what professionals do. And there's no such thing as a perfect play. There's no such thing as a perfect player, a perfect coach, a perfect game. Uh, Victory favors this team making the fewest mistakes. And then you clean it up after that, and you try to keep getting better. So to me, I think people, when you're in tough jobs like a Niagara or Canisius or UB or Bonnie's, these are tough jobs. You're the coach at Kentucky or Kansas or one of these places, Carolina, Duke. You're a blue blood.
Hmm.
There's a lot of benefits coming your way. Kids are knocking your door down to come play for you.
Hmm.
Uh, Unfortunately, they're not doing that here. So you got to hustle, and you got to outwork people, and you got to outgrind people. So to me, I think that there's a mutual admiration and respect that these guys have, and I have an amazing amount of respect for the job that each one of those guys do.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about that, it's not an easy job, but uh, even now it's probably much, much harder with the transfer portal, everything that's going on there. Do you think you could be a coach nowadays with all that
N-
happening?
No.
No.
Uh, well, it's like being a junior college coach now,
Yeah.
because basically you're assembling teams per year. And that's what a junior college coach
Yeah.
does. Here's my problem. I have no problem with name, image, likeness. I think that if there's money available based upon the revenues that come into college athletics, then absolutely the players should have the opportunity to earn their fair share. I'm all for that.
I agree.
Transfer portal, different. I think that it's disgraceful that you have educators and people want to point the finger at coaches and athletic directors. I point the finger directly at presidents of universities and board of trustees of universities, and they should be embarrassed. They should be absolutely embarrassed, because they can put an easy stop to this. The purpose of education is growth over the period of your experience at a university. Things aren't always easy, and the story of college athletics is, you come in as a freshman, you got to work your tail off, earn your time, and little by little, gradually, um, there comes a point where you graduate is senior night, and you had a 4-year experience, and you have a degree from
Right.
one institution, and then 20, 30, 40 years later you go back to that institution with great pride, and you see your fellow alumni. Now we have players going to 4 schools in 4 years that aren't graduating. They have no connection with any university. The fans are sitting in the stands, and they have no idea who these guys are, because they're all mercenaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, the people that are absolutely guilty of allowing this to happen are the people that are in charge of the whole thing, and that's the presidents and the board members of schools. I
Mhm.
think it need, look, I'm totally fine if a player transfers once in their career. I'm totally fine that if a coach leaves, the player has the right to leave because in a lot of ways, and I know this personally, a player will go to school because of the connection with the coaching staff. And if the
Mhm.
coach leaves or gets fired, one or the other, then that athlete has the right to leave if they desire. But to just jump from one place to the next because the next school's offering me $5,000 more, and with no rhyme or reason, with anything being connected to academics, Ryan, it's become a transactional existence rather than a transformational existence.
Absolutely.
College athletics is supposed to be a transformational experience where you grow when you're an 18, 19-year-old young student athlete. And when you get to 22, 23, whatever it is, it's transformed you. You've grown into a young lady, a young man that's ready to take on the challenges of the game of life. I used to always say these 4 years of impact how you do the next 40.
Mhm.
And I think we're really failing our mission in college athletics. So to me, to answer your question, would I want to get back in it? Absolutely not. Now, look, if I'm at a school with a ton of money and resources and NIL, you name it,
Right.
then you know what? You're one of the haves rather than the have-nots. But at the end of the day, I think we're cheating young people. And I'm telling you, I didn't know what I wanted to be or do when I was 18, 19 years old. And if I was constantly given the easy way out rather than have to actually figure it out and work it out, I would have taken the easy way out every time. And to me, I had a guy that I worked for at Fordham, Nick McCarthy, who's also the head coach of Canisius years ago. And he said, Jack, every decision you make in life could be the wrong one. It's your job to make it the right one. So figure it out. So my thing is, hey, you're not happy, style of play, playing time, yada, yada, yada. And if you have the escape hatch every spring to just enter the transfer portal, when in life are you going to ever have to face the fact that life ain't perfect and you
Yeah.
actually have to work your way through things and solve problems and work through it? And to me, I think that's college athletics is supposed to be something about that. And to me, it's completely and totally failing its mission.
Yeah, it's absolutely run rampant here. It's I mean, we've had like three completely different teams the 3 years that I've been here because guys come in, guys come out. I mean, I don't think there's anyone here from my freshman year that has stayed.
Yeah, and look, I get it, and that's the
Oh
way the
yeah.
rules are. And that's the way the rules are. And if you're Coach Schmidt or any other coach, you gotta play the game based upon how the rules are being interpreted right now. But what I'm saying is, years from now, you're going to see the effects of this in terms of the people that had the experience of playing in this era and they're going to have no connection to anything. And when they
Yeah.
come back, there's not going to be those alumni. Hey, if I were a freshman at Bonnie's and I was all league Atlantic 10, and now I bail to go to a Big East school, and now after a year at the Big East school, I go to a Big Ten school, wherever, you know, when it's time when I'm 23, 24, and I don't make the NBA, or I go to Europe and I sustain a major injury and tear my ACL, and I'm just Joe Bag of Donuts, I'm a dime a dozen, and now I'm looking for a job, who am I turning to?
Right.
Well, if I'm an alumnus of one of those early schools, I'm like, I'm not answering the phone. You abandoned ship on us. Screw
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a two-way street. And right now it's become a one-way street.
I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I can't even tell you how bad it's been here, but I'll get off this topic just a little bit. I want to go back to broadcasting. You've had a couple big catchphrases, obviously, that you're known for, the hello and the get that garbage out of here. I mean, those are your big ones. Just tell me a bit about how you developed those. how this came to be part of your identity, and when you kind of realize like, hey, people really like this.
Well, hello came from growing up in Brooklyn. A pretty girl walks by and you're like, ooh, hello. So basically
It's good.
I've used that when I see a play that like, woo,
Right.
I go, hello. And then get that garbage out of here comes from playing ball in the schoolyards of Brooklyn and someone blocks your shot and they go, get that blank and blank out of here. Now we're on Ryan, we're on a family show. St. Bonaventure is
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
Catholic school. So I won't fill in those two blanks, but I think you can read between the lines what those two blanks are. So get that blank and blank out of here. So we had a guy, I don't know what year it was, probably 2000, 2001, named Keon Clark, who was a outstanding shot blocker. He played with Vince Carter and those guys, Antonio Davis and Charles Oakley and those guys. He was a very good player, but he blocked a shot one time. I don't know, he might have 5, 6 blocks in a game, and I'm going ballistic because he made some sensational plays.
Right.
So I was about to say, get that blank and blank out of here. And instead, because we're on a family show, I said, get that garbage out of here. And our director at the time, his name was Troy Clara. He's now the director for the Toronto Blue Jays. So on TV, he's going to be super busy here coming up this weekend with the Blue Jays in the playoffs.
Right.
But he said to me, he goes, Jackie, that's pure gold. Use that. And so we get off the air and we're having a beer after the game. And he says, that's awesome. He goes, use that. He goes, that's a good call when a guy blocks a shot. So those have been and then the other one I've used when we've had French Canadian players is
Yeah.
bonjour, which is hello. So we had Chris Boucher for a number of years with the Raptors. So every time he would make a three or have a block shot or a big play, I'd always go bonjour. So,
That's great.
uh, and the fact that our team, our games, unlike the other 29 teams in the NBA, all the games are on national television. So,
Right.
so you have a national audience, so which is really cool. So I mentioned to you earlier here, uh, we have training camp in Calgary this week, and we have a preseason. We'll have a few practices as well, and then a preseason game in Vancouver. So we try to go to different areas of Canada during the preseason to kind of spread the wealth and spread the word and get people excited nationally about the Raptors.
Right.
So to me, so it's a unique job, and it's unlike any other job in the NBA. And I'm blessed to be in one of the chairs. And I had a guy say to me one time, always remember, you're lucky enough to sit in the chair. You don't own it.
Right.
And someone else said to me, it's like renting space versus owning space. And I'm just renting space. So I'm really, again, lucky to be in a place where you're like, it's like musical chairs. If you have a chair,
Right.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's awesome. A couple more questions here, but was there a certain like broadcaster or anyone, I guess, that influenced you the most, maybe style wise or career wise?
Yeah. Uh, I think I'm my own man.
Hmm.
I would say people that have kind of, uh, I would say the guys that have influenced me the most as a kid growing up in New York. Uh, I'm a big Yankee fan, and I'm a real Yankee fan because I actually started following the team when they sucked.
All right.
And the,
Yeah.
the Mets were good and the Yankees were bad. But they had this guy named Phil Rizzuto who called the games, who's in the Hall of Fame. He was a great player for the Yankees. Um, if you ever hear the song by Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, his description in the song, if you've heard the song, you might not have ever heard the song.
I'll
Uh,
have to go listen.
yeah. Uh, so Phil Rizzuto, he made Yankee games fun, and the team was not good, but he was incredibly entertaining and fun to listen to. I enjoyed him. He made me laugh. It was fun. Yet he played the game at a high level, won a number of championships, was an American League MVP.
Hmm.
Yet he was fun, and he didn't take himself seriously. And then a few other people that have had an influence on me would all be coaches. I would say Al McGuire,
Mm.
Hall of Famer, former head coach at Marquette. He made the transition from coaching and broadcasting. Dick Vitale, former coach,
Hmm.
now broadcaster. Bill Raftery, former coach,
Hmm.
now broadcaster. UB Brown, Niagara guy, played at Niagara. Uh, very good to me when I was at Niagara. UB former coach, now Hall of Fame broadcaster. And then when he first got out of coaching in the NFL, John Madden.
Yeah.
I thought John Madden was awesome,
Hmm.
ex-coach. And here's my job, Ryan. My job is to tell you why it happened, how it happened, frame it, give you a gem, give you a teaching point, be concise, and be entertaining. And do all that in a really short period of time. And and so I don't take myself seriously. I take my job seriously, and I take what I do. But I'm not some ex-athlete up there telling you about when I played, I did this or that. I'm more about self-deprecation and but I think it's really important to do your homework.
Yeah.
And people know when you're a fraud, and people know when you're not prepared, and people know when you're trying to just wing it with BS. And so when I watch a game, I'm prepared to do a game. And I think the best analysts, in my opinion, are ex-coaches. Now, there's a lot of really good ex-players now
Hmm.
that have come up, and the ones that have the work ethic that aren't on lifetime scholarship, that actually want to work at it, are good. There's many that it's just an excuse to get out of the house, and they have millions upon millions in the bank, and they don't know what to do with their free time. They're stealing money.
Right.
Uh, but a good number of them are working at it and do a good job and put the time in. So I
Yeah.
respect them. But the guys that I've kind of have influenced me would probably be those guys and little idiosyncrasies that they have that a part of me. But what I do on the air is kind of my shtick, my who I am, what I'm about. What you see is what you get. And quite frankly, if it isn't good enough, so be it. I've had a great run.
Yeah, I hear you. That's awesome. That's pretty good advice. If it's not good enough, it is what it is, right?
But and I think that it's really, really important to study uh, the nuances. Bill Raftery taught me this. He goes, study the nuances of the TV truck. Know what a producer does, know what a
Hmm.
director does, know what the associate producer does, and the assistant director, and the stats guy, and all the graphics people, and the people that are the switchers, and your camera operators, and all that, and your stage manager, and you're part of a team, and being able to have an appreciation for everybody's jobs and what they do, and make them feel appreciated, make them feel respected, and know that you have an obligation to your audience. You have an obligation to the coaches and the players that work their ass off to show and give it your best that night, and put your best foot forward. And so there are many young broadcasters. If they were to ask me for advice, I'd say, okay, I'll meet you at a local establishment. We'll have a few beers together, and we'll sit down and we'll talk broadcasting extensively,
Right.
the ins and outs of it. Uh, but what happens now is a lot of these network executives, they hire people based upon how many MVPs they had, or this, that, the other thing. And then I'll give you something that UB Brown taught me. He said, nobody mentors or coaches in this business. This is what happens in the broadcast business. Great job. Great job. Great job. You're fired.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
And that happens a lot because people don't uh, show them the light. And a lot of times these executives have never been in a TV truck. They've never called a game. So they don't know. So they're fans.
Yeah.
And the problem is then when there's a problem and that person on the air, the play by play has to carry that guy, it's a problem.
Right.
So to me, I think that's a big part of it. And there are so many broadcasters in the NBA now that are good friends. that when I see them, we regularly talk about different issues and trends and all the different things that are going on in broadcasting today. And you never stop trying to get better. You never stop improving. And every morning before I do a game, I have a pretty extensive list of kind of like triggers for me, things to remind me that I want to get accomplished during a game. Some of it's tactical, some of it's preparation, some of it's just pumping yourself up in terms of enthusiasm and making sure that I'm ready for that game. So when the red light comes on, I got my game face on, I'm ready to go.
Right. Absolutely. That's great advice. I really, really appreciate it.
You got it.
I got one more kind of a fun question for you here, right? So you're from Brooklyn, but you're a fan of a bunch of Buffalo teams, more specifically Bills, Sabres. How did that come to be? I'm just wondering.
Well, the Bills, very interesting. Ryan, when I was the head coach at Niagara, this would have been, I don't know, 1989. I'm at a breakfast. I'm a guest speaker at a breakfast along with another guy named Bill Polian, who built the four Super Bowl teams for the Buffalo Bills,
Mhm.
six-time NFL Executive of the Year, NFL Hall of Fame. So I'm at this breakfast, and he and I are sitting together. Well, he's an Irish guy from the Bronx. I'm an Irish guy from Brooklyn. We start talking, and we have like 10, 15, 20 mutual friends and, and life experiences.
Right.
So, and here he is with his sons, Chris, Brian, and Dennis, who he brought with him to the breakfast, and now chat with them. And like those three boys came to my basketball camp when they were kids.
Right.
And Tom Telesco, the former GM of the Chargers and Raiders, he's a former camper.
Wow.
Dave Caldwell, who was with the Jacksonville
Yeah.
Jaguars. But all the Polians and those guys all grew up together. They all came to my camp. So, but Bill used to invite me to training camp every year, and I would go spend time and watch practice with him, and get to chat and talk to Marv Levy and his whole staff. And uh, his assistant would be calling me all the time, inviting my wife and I to the games to sit in his suite with his family to watch the games. Um, so so I'm a big believer as I root for friends. And
Yeah.
so I became friendly with Bill and Coach Levy and the staff, and then going out over the years, and then the staff and with the Bills were always very good. Rusty Jones, Bud Carpenter, the training staff were always great with our guys in terms of helping them, because basketball players are unique size, and you get some guys 6'8", 260, and you're trying to help them gain muscle, lose weight, whatever.
Right.
And now here you have an NFL team nearby, um, and obviously Tom Donahoe when he was there, and obviously Brandon Bean now, and Sean McDermott, and those guys are big basketball fans. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But so basically, I'm a huge Bills fan because I know the people, and I root for friends, and I root for people that I trust and respect, and that work their ass off. And I think the job that Brandon Bean and Sean McDermott have done in Buffalo is just remarkable.
Yeah.
I've lived here since 1988. I've seen the Bills during the glory years, and I've seen a lot of years where it was really difficult. And the job these guys have done in one of the smallest markets in the NFL, and yet one of the great markets in the NFL. It's indescribable until people come visit and go to a game and travel around Western New York to see what a unique place this is. So I'm blessed to call myself a Bills fan, and I'm a season ticket holder, and I go to the games. I'm just a fan, though. I'm not an expert. So you'll see me at the tailgate having my cold beer and smoke my cigar before I go in, and
That's
I'll be at
awesome.
the game cheering my ass off and having a good time, and and I'm supportive of them. And as I said earlier, it ain't easy winning,
Right.
and it's very easy to lose. And for a lot of years, that's exactly what they did. So
Yeah.
even when you labor and win ugly, it's still a sign of something really positive. So so I love it and I enjoy it, and Same thing over the years. I've got to know a bunch of the people with the Sabres over the years, and my kids used to play hockey, so we used to go to a lot of Sabres games as well. And my kids are all grown up now, so I don't have as much time to go to Sabre games. Um, but I get ticked off when the NBA schedule comes out and I have to miss a Bills game because
Yeah, yeah.
I'm either calling a game in Toronto or somewhere else on the road or whatever. But it's fun, and I love being in Western New York. I'm proud to have been here since 1988. Having grown up in Brooklyn, Buffalo has a lot of the same incredible, wonderful qualities of people from Brooklyn, and I'm really happy and blessed that I live here.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And you know what? I couldn't agree with you more on the scheduling thing. We got a lot of Bonnie's games this year that fall on a Sunday, and I just it's terrible.
Don't they know better?
I know exactly right. Well, that's all I got. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. It was a great interview. I appreciate it a lot.
Ryan, you got it. My pleasure, and all the best with your final 2 years at school at St. Bonaventure, and go
Thank you.
Bonnies. All the best.
Yeah, go Bonnies, go Raptors. Good luck to you as well.